and Europe are ironclad allies, right? In fact, they together form most of what is NATO, the military alliance facing off with Russia. Ever since Russia invaded Ukraine, the US has appeared to stand shoulder to shoulder with Europe, helping the bloc at a time when it faces perhaps what is its most severe and multi-pronged crisis. Together, America and Europe imposed economic sanctions against Russia. Vladimir Putin responded by weaponizing energy exports to Europe. Gas flows through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline, for example, have been reduced to zero by Moscow. That has led Europe straight into the mouth of an economic crisis. Today, Europe stares at an imminent recession and consequent deindustrialization. Intriguingly, the United States of America is one country that has the most to gain out of a recession in Europe. Suddenly, news from the United States of America is not so grim. Gasoline prices are easing and inflation is being countered by interest rate hikes. Europe and the United States face a 60% and 30% chance of slipping into recession respectively, as per Goldman Sachs. Europe faces a more imminent and dangerous threat of recession. What is even more interesting is that a European recession could end up saving America's fortunes and millions of jobs, as per Business Insider. According to former Federal Reserve economist Claudia Sahm, Europe's hardship will sharply lower their demand and help bring the USA's inflation down. And how is that? Let's try to figure that out. Last year, the US exported goods worth $270 billion to Europe, which made up 15% of the total American exports around the world. That scenario will change when Europe goes into a recession, because lower demand and purchasing power will also result in European countries importing less. That must be read along with the decline of euro's value against the American dollar. A weaker euro means Europeans will have to pay more for American goods. Since they won't be in a position to do that, US exports to Europe will predictably fall. A fall in demand in Europe will help the United States fight its own inflation and ease price pressures in the world's largest economy. Meanwhile, a recession in Europe could help bring down global oil prices. That's going to be very good news for American consumers. In a manner of speaking, Europe's economic misery is proving to be the perfect antidote to an American recession. The United States of America is the leader of a Western anti-Russia front. It has galvanized political opinion in the West against Moscow rather successfully. But a question must be asked. Did Washington know about the consequences of turning Europe against Russia? Did the US know that Russia would shut off energy supplies to Europe as payback for the West's sanctions campaign against it? Maybe it did. The Biden administration is working tirelessly to ensure that European unity against Russia does not fall apart. Washington is desperately trying to keep the wall of sanctions against Russia up. Sanctions removal would mean that Russia starts supplying natural gas to Europe again. That would dramatically help Europe come out of an energy crisis and perhaps even avert an all-out recession. Supplies through the Nord Stream 1 would resume. Europe's energy markets would stabilize. Energy prices would drastically fall. And all this would give an impetus to the European people's purchasing power. But that evidently would run contrary to the Biden administration's interests. The US seems to be making the most out of an imminent recession in Europe. It's saving its own economy at Europe's cost. The question to be asked, though, is this: did the United States plan for things to play out this way, or did this